She told me, "If you hate my lifestyle so much, then leave." So while she was taking shots with her best guy friend at a downtown club, I was zipping up the suitcase that held everything I owned. When she stumbled back in at almost 4 in the morning, ready for a screaming match, there was no fight. Just an empty dresser, my key on the counter, and a note. "You're right. I don't want this kind of life." So I left. Hey everyone, before I get into the story, make sure to like the video and subscribe if you want to hear more real stories like this one. Okay, here's how I walked out of a 3-year relationship in one night. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. Call me Mark, 29. I'm a network engineer in Texas. I'm the reliable guy. I show up, pay my bills, fix whatever's broken. I like plans, not chaos. My ex? Let's call her Vanessa, 27. When we met, she was all bright lipstick tattoos, loud laugh. A media and design major who knew every bar, every event, every trending sound. I was the quiet guy in a faded hoodie who would rather fix someone's fi than go bar hopping. We met at a college house party. I was sitting alone on the balcony, scrolling my phone, trying not to spill my drink. She walked out, took one look at me, and said, "You look allergic to fun." "Only mildly," I said. She laughed. Somehow we clicked. She said I made her feel calm, grounded. I liked that she pulled me out of my shell. It felt like a good balance. After graduation, real life hit. I landed a full-time job at an IT company in Houston. She bounced between serving tables, doing little brand collabs on Instagram, and trying to make her art and content take off. When her lease ended, we moved in together. 1-bedroom apartment, decent complex, nothing fancy. I took on most of the rent and bills so she could focus on her creative work. I didn't mind. I was proud I could support us. At first, it honestly felt great. I'd come home after a long day of dealing with angry clients and broken networks, and she'd be there with takeout or a simple dinner, some show queued up, candles lit like a Pinterest board. We cooked together, talked about saving for a house one day, joked about baby names way too early. Then the shift started. Vanessa got deeper into the nightlife scene. First it was girls' nights once a month, then twice a month, then every weekend, then random weeknights for networking. She'd come home at 2 or 3 in the morning smelling like perfume, smoke, and cheap liquor, heels in her hand. I try not to make a big deal out of it. I told myself she was just more social than me. Everyone needs their own outlet, right? But then came the comments. "You're so predictable, Mark. You never want to do anything crazy. My friends actually live. You just sit in front of your screens." It stung, but I loved her, so I brushed it off. I thought it was a phase we'd grow through. I was sure we were still on the same team. And then a new person entered our story, a guy named Troy. Troy worked in promotions for a downtown club where Vanessa and her friends started spending a lot of time. He was exactly what you're picturing. Half his Instagram was shirtless gym selfies, the other half videos of him pouring shots and yelling about living your best life. Vanessa met him through a coworker, and suddenly his name was everywhere. Troy's throwing this insane event Friday. Troy says I'd look so good on camera. Troy can put us on the list. I met him once when I picked her up after a shift. He clapped me on the shoulder and called me my guy after 30 seconds. He looked at her like she was the main show, and at me like I was the guy who would drive her home and pay her phone bill. My stomach twisted that night, but I pushed it down. I'd always told myself I would not be the jealous, controlling boyfriend. Then the text started popping up at weird hours. Little previews on her lock screen. "Troy, you coming tonight?" Fire. "Troy, you'd kill in this fit." Troy, "Boring dudes don't deserve girls like you, LOL." Her phone would light up. She'd flip it face down, smile, and say it's nothing, relax. One night made it impossible to ignore. I just finished a brutal week at work gearing up for a big rollout. Long hours, late nights, emergency calls at 1 in the morning. On Friday, I left the office exhausted but relieved, thinking, finally, quiet night in. Food, movie, couch, us. I walked into the apartment, already picturing it. Instead, I found Vanessa in front of the bedroom mirror. New dress I'd never seen, heels waiting on the floor, hair curled, highlighter shining like a disco ball. "Wow," I said. "Big plans?" She didn't look at me. "Yeah, we're going out. Theme night at Halo." Troy got us a table. I asked, "You and the girls?" "Me, the girls, some of his people. Whatever. You should come for once. It wouldn't kill you to dance. Clubs are my personal nightmare. Crowds, noise, drunk strangers, everyone shoving, sticky floors. After a 60-hour week, the idea of shouting over bass next to a guy who thinks he's a celebrity promoter sounded like torture. How about we stay in tonight? I asked. Just this once. We haven't really had time together in weeks. I'll order your favorite Thai. We can watch that movie you keep talking about. Actually hang out. She sighed dramatically, still focused on her eyeliner. Mark, I've been looking forward to this for days. There's a DJ flying in from Miami. It's a big deal, especially for content. I can't miss it because you suddenly want to cuddle. I swallowed and tried again. I'm not trying to control you, I said. I just feel like you're always out lately. And you and Troy, it seems like you talk a lot. I don't want to be that guy, but it's making me uncomfortable. That's when she finally turned around. The look on her face wasn't hurt or confused. It was annoyance, almost disgust. Uncomfortable about what? She snapped. That I have friends who actually go out and experience life? Troy gets it. He's fun. You just work, sleep, and stare at screens. I'm not spending my 20s stuck on this couch watching reruns. I'm not asking you to be a shut-in, I said quietly. I just want to feel like I still matter. Like we're still partners. Lately, it feels like you're single and I'm your roommate who pays the bills. She rolled her eyes hard enough I could practically hear it. There it is. The guilt trip. Look, if you hate my lifestyle so much, then leave. Seriously, I'm not dialing myself down because you're insecure or boring or whatever. I want clubs, trips, excitement. If that's not what you want, maybe you're just not my person. She grabbed her bag, sprayed perfume, and headed for the door without looking back. I'll be late, she tossed over her shoulder. Don't wait up. The door clicked shut. The silence after it was louder than the slam would have been. I sat there for a minute, replaying her words. If you hate my lifestyle so much, then leave. Not let's talk. Not we'll figure it out. Just leave. And something inside me snapped, but not in anger. More like clarity. A clean, quiet break. I stood up, walked into the bedroom, and opened the closet. For the first time in months, I listened to myself instead of making excuses for her. I packed. I didn't throw anything. Didn't slam drawers. Didn't break down. I folded. T-shirts, hoodies, jeans, socks into a suitcase and a duffel bag. Practical. Efficient. Detached. I unplugged my work laptop, grabbed my backpack, my chargers, the gaming console I bought with my bonus. I left the furniture, the dishes, the decor she picked, the life she curated for herself. I didn't want any of it. Around 1:30 a.m., my car was loaded. I texted my buddy Chris. Is that offer to crash at your place still good? He replied instantly. Always. You okay? Not really, I wrote. But I will be. Before I left, I placed my spare key on the counter. I found a sticky note, stared at it for a second, and wrote. You were right. I don't want this kind of life. So I left. Mark, no speeches, no accusations, no begging. I set it next to her favorite coffee mug and walked out. The drive to Chris's place felt unreal. Streetlights blurring, radio low, silence heavy. When I finally lay down in his small guest room, the buzzing of my phone felt like it belonged to someone else. I turned it face down, exhaled, and fell asleep. By morning, the notifications were endless. Dozens of missed calls, texts, voice messages, all from her. Where are you? Is this a joke? Why is your stuff gone? Call me now. I ignored everything for hours. Chris made coffee. I told him the short version, the clubs, the comments, Troy, the argument, the line about leaving. Man, he said, you should have bailed months ago. I thought she'd grow out of it, I admitted. I thought she'd come back to us. She found her crowd, dude, he said. And it wasn't you. Around noon, after almost 100 notifications, I finally answered her call. She didn't say hello. Where the hell are you? She snapped. I come home, and the place looks robbed. What is this little note on the counter? Are you insane? I moved out, I said calmly. You what? She shrieked. Over one night? You're acting like a psycho, Mark. I was out with my friends. With Troy. Nothing happened. We danced. That's it. This isn't about one night, I said. It's about months of you drifting away. Months of disrespect. Months of you treating me like a placeholder. You're twisting everything, she shot back. I'm young. I like going out. That's normal. You're the stable one. He's the fun one. There's nothing wrong with wanting both. There it was. The truth she hadn't meant to say out loud. So what? I said. You get excitement from him and stability from me. You're being dramatic, she snapped. People have open relationships all the time. Monogamy is old-fashioned. If you weren't so insecure, we could talk about it. Just come back. We'll figure it out. I'll cut back on going out a little if that makes you feel better. I almost laughed. Cut back a little, while I went back to paying for everything. No, I said. I want a partner, not a backup plan. She scoffed loudly. You're unbelievable. You don't even fight for us. Coward move, Mark. I've been fighting for us for a long time, I said. You just didn't notice because you were too busy taking shots with Troy. Silence. Then she hit me with, you'll regret this. No one else is going to put up with your boring routine. I'd rather be alone than disrespected, I said. Goodbye. And I hung up, blocked her, sat there shaking a little, then breathed easier than I had in months. The next few days were strange. I'd wake up in Chris's guest room and reach for a key that wasn't mine anymore. I kept expecting a text from her that actually sounded like accountability, but none came. Instead, I called HR and asked about relocating. There was an opening in Denver. Same company, clean slate. 2 weeks later, I was driving a U-Haul through New Mexico with everything I owned and nothing tying me to her. In Denver, I found a tiny studio, small, quiet mine. No glitter on the bathroom floor. Number 3 a.m. door slams. No waiting for someone who didn't choose me. I joined a gym, a hiking group. I started therapy. My therapist asked me in session 1, what do you think you deserved in that relationship that you didn't get? The answer came immediately. Respect, I said. And for the first time in years, I felt like I was finally giving it to myself. News about Vanessa still reached me through mutual friends, even though I never asked. A week after I moved, someone sent me a screenshot of her Instagram story. Her and Troy in a booth, bottles on the table, captioned, New chapter, no more dead weight. I stared at it for a few seconds. Not angry, not jealous, just tired. I locked my phone and went for a walk instead of responding. According to friends, she went all in on Troy's lifestyle. She quit her serving job, convinced his connections would get her brand deals and promo gigs. She practically moved into his apartment. Her stories were nonstop neon lights, club mirrors, bottles, makeup tutorials, and Boss Bay captions. For a while, she looked thrilled. Then things started cracking. The first real incident came from Jenna, a mutual friend. I know you don't want to hear about her, she said, but you seriously dodged a bullet. I already know that, I replied. What happened? Apparently, one night Vanessa showed up at Troy's place expecting another wild party. Instead, she found him half passed out on the couch with 2 other girls, all laughing at photos from some after-hours event she wasn't invited to. When she confronted him, he exploded. Jenna said he threw a glass against the sink, screamed at Vanessa for being clingy, told her she was one of many, and that if she couldn't handle that, she should find someone else to smother. Neighbors called the cops. No arrests, but the whole building heard the fight. A day later, Vanessa's stories changed. When you give everything to the wrong person, sometimes the person you choose doesn't choose you back. Then came the crying selfies. Then the healing era quotes. Her follower count started dropping. People were tired of the drama. And without a stable job or my income covering half her life, the reality hit fast. Rent, car payment, credit cards. Everything she used to push aside with a cute caption suddenly became very real. She tried. Freelance shoots, promo nights, one-off modeling gigs. But none of those pay rent consistently. Friends backed away. Her reputation wasn't great. People had watched her badmouth me for months, calling me controlling and boring while she flirted with Troy in every comment section. Meanwhile, my life was going the opposite direction. Work in Denver was solid. I led a project that saved the company a ton of money and got a raise. I woke up early on weekends to go hiking with new friends who valued calm over chaos. I slept better, ate better, laughed more. Therapy helped me see how many times I'd ignored my own discomfort just to keep her happy. You taught her your boundaries were optional, my therapist said. The moment you enforced one, she called you a coward. And that hit harder than I expected. About a month later, I made the mistake of unblocking her number. I don't know why. Maybe curiosity. Maybe closure. Maybe just want to see if she'd ever actually take responsibility. It took less than 48 hours for her to reach out. Vanessa. Hey. I ignored it. 10 minutes later. Can we talk? Please. Then. I know I messed up, but what we had was real. I set my phone down and cooked dinner. By the time I checked again, there were more. I'm sorry. Troy used me. I didn't see what I had. Can we meet? I didn't answer. A few days later she called. I let it go to voicemail. Later that night, I listened. Her voice was shaky. Mark, I know you probably hate me. I get it. I thought I wanted that lifestyle. I thought Troy was exciting. He wasn't. He was a disaster. I messed up. I'm trying to get my life together. I realize now what I had with you. Can we please talk? Just coffee. I'll change. No accountability. No, I'm sorry for how I treated you. Just vague regret because Plan B fell apart. I deleted the voicemail. When silence didn't work, she escalated. Her best friend Alyssa, the queen of bad advice, texted, "You seriously ghosting Vanessa after 3 years? Be a man and talk to her." My response was simple. She told me to leave if I didn't like her lifestyle. I left. Then came a call from an unknown number. "This is Mark." "Mark, this is Linda, Vanessa's mother." Of course. I don't know what happened between you two," she began. "But Vanessa is devastated. She's staying with her sister. She's not eating. She made mistakes. Young people do. But you don't just abandon someone you love when they're struggling." I almost laughed. She told me I was holding her back. I said, she told me if I hated her lifestyle, I should leave. I did exactly what she told me to do. She didn't mean it. Her mom insisted. She was emotional. You were the stable one. She needs you now. Be the bigger person. I spent years being the bigger person, I said. That's why I stayed as long as I did. There was rustling. Then Vanessa's voice. "Give me the phone, Mom." "Mark," she said, "please don't hang up." I waited. "I know I said awful things," she began. "I thought Troy was something he's not. He used me. I lost my place, my job, everything. I'm in therapy. I'm trying. And I keep thinking about you. You were safe. You were home. Please, can we try again? I swear I'll be different." I didn't feel anything. Not love. Not anger. Just done. "You told me monogamy was outdated," I said. "You compare me to Troy. You mock me online. That wasn't an accident. That was who you were then." "I was angry," she said quickly. "I was projecting." "I'm glad you're getting help," I said. "But I don't owe you another try." "So that's it?" she snapped. "You're just done?" "This is the first time I'm choosing myself," I said. She flipped to rage instantly. "You're pathetic," she hissed. "No one else will tolerate your boring life." "I'd rather be alone than disrespected," I said. "Goodbye." And I blocked her for good. For the first time in years, it felt like breathing clean air. 6 months passed, and my life looked nothing like the one I left behind. My tiny Denver studio slowly turned into a home. Real furniture, real peace, real mornings where nobody stumbled in at 3 a.m. smelling like tequila and perfume. I had a routine that didn't drain me. Work, gym, hiking, dinners with coworkers who actually showed up on time. Most importantly, I finally had space to figure out who I was without being compared to some club promoter. And somewhere along the way, I started dating again. That's how I met Emily. We matched on an app. Coffee turned into a 3-hour conversation. She wasn't loud or chaotic. She didn't need validation from strangers or cameras. She liked calm nights, long walks, silly jokes, late breakfasts, and honest conversations. When I told her the short version of what happened with Vanessa, she didn't roll her eyes or call me boring. She said, "You weren't boring. You were undervalued." We took it slow. No games. No drama. No disappearing acts. Just two adults talking, laughing, building something steadily, something real. Around that time, my buddy Ryan invited me to his wedding back in Texas. Small outdoor ceremony, lots of mutual friends, a few people who had known me and Vanessa back when we were together. I hesitated at first, not because I was scared, but because I was finally at peace and I didn't want anything to shake it. Emily nudged my shoulder and said, "Let's go. It'll be fun." So we went. The wedding day was one of those perfect Saturdays, sunny, breezy, music playing softly under strings of lights. Emily and I sat with old friends, catching up, laughing, eating way too many appetizers. And then, because life loves dramatic timing, I saw her. Vanessa. She slipped in through a side gate, not dressed like a wedding guest. No gift, just a wild, desperate look in her eyes and a wrinkled dress that told a longer story than she ever would. Her gaze swept across the crowd, hungry, frantic, until she found me. "Are you okay?" Emily whispered. "That's my ex," I said. Emily nodded. "I'm here. Whatever you need." Vanessa walked straight toward our table, ignoring the fact that she was absolutely not invited. Ryan caught my eye from across the lawn, mouthing, "I swear I didn't tell her." She stopped a few feet away. "Mark," she said, loud enough that heads turned. "We need to talk." "This is a wedding," I said. "Not the place." Her eyes darted to Emily, then back to me. "Who's she?" Vanessa demanded. "Whatever." "Mark, please." 5 minutes. Guests were staring now. Phones out. Whispers everywhere. Emily let go of my hand so I could stand, but she didn't look worried. Just calm. I stepped a few feet away with Vanessa, still in full view. "What do you want?" I asked. She took a shaky breath. "I've been trying to reach you," she said. "You blocked me everywhere. I had to ask around to even find out you were here. Mark, please. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. Troy was a nightmare. He used me. I lost everything. I'm in therapy. I'm trying. And I keep thinking about you. About us. You were the only person who really cared. Can we just try again? Please." Her voice cracked. Tears came. Words poured out like she was drowning. "I'll change. I'll stop going out. I'll do whatever you want. Just don't walk away from me again." I let her finish. Then I said the thing I needed to say for a long time. "Vanessa, you stopped being part of my life the night you told me to leave if I didn't like how you lived. I listened, and I left. And honestly, leaving was the best thing I ever did." She blinked like she couldn't understand English. "You're really going to hold that against me?" she snapped. It was one thing I said when I was pissed. It wasn't one thing, I said. It was everything. The clubs, the disrespect, the comparisons, the lies. The nights I waited for you to come home while you partied with Troy. You didn't treat me like a partner. You treated me like a backup plan. She looked past me at Emily again. "So she's your replacement?" she asked, dripping jealousy. "No," I said. "She's my partner, because she doesn't need to tear me down to feel alive." Vanessa's face twisted. "You can't talk to me like I'm trash," she spat. "I made mistakes, but I don't deserve this." "You deserve the consequences of your choices," I replied gently. "Just like I deserve the peace I have now." Her eyes filled with angry tears. She clenched her jaw, shook her head, and said, "You're unbelievable. You disappear, move states, get some new girl, and pretend you're above everyone. Enjoy your boring little life." And she stormed out the same way she came in, alone. Ryan walked over, apologizing even though none of it was his fault. Emily took my hand again, warm and calm. "You okay?" she asked. I looked at her, at the wedding lights, at the people laughing and dancing nearby. "Yeah," I said. "For the first time, I really am." "Do you want to leave?" she asked. I smiled. "No, I want cake." She laughed, stood, and we walked toward the dessert table. And on that short walk, everything clicked into place. Vanessa had once told me, "If you don't like how I live my life, then leave." She meant it as an insult, as a dismissal, as a dare. But it ended up being the best advice she ever gave me. Because I didn't just leave her. I left the version of myself that tolerated disrespect. I left the chaos. I left the constant anxiety. I left the idea that love means suffering. Now, I have a life that fits me, quiet, steady, real. A job I'm proud of. Friends who show up. Someone by my side who values me without conditions. Sometimes walking away isn't weakness. Sometimes it's the moment your real life finally begins. Thanks for listening. What do you think? Did I make the right choice? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more stories.